broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is HomeTalkUSA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host, the Inventor Lady Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yeah, hey, welcome back. This is Home Talk USA right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network, King's Broadcasting. I want to welcome all of you for Hour 2. This is the Invent America show, part of the Home Talk USA family. I'd like to invite right now my co-hosts, the Inventor Lady herself, Rita Crompton. Hey, Miss Rita, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Hanging in. I definitely want to thank you. A lot of our audience is now tuning in. They heard you at the top of Hour 1 on the Home Talk USA show, and but hey, it's your time to shine with your guests and your topics. I know, Rita, we talked about this in the past, but why has some products just sell better than others?
Well, one of the things that we've learned, nobody put pandemic in their 2020 business plan. It was awful. And a lot of people who are working on new products when the time hit, a lot of places tried to go to virtual trade shows. Didn't work. We need the face-to-face contact. And I think a lot of inventors, they assume that by the time they get to the marketing part of it, they're broke. It costs so much to manufacture these days. And what we try to do is help them get to
Are you available in another
that contact, that face-to-face.
I'm finishing up recording my weekly show.
Inventors, when they're going to the shows, can get face-to-face contact, eye to eye. People can see the product. They can test the product. They can hold the product. And that is still what gets consumers to take out their wallet. And it doesn't matter if it's the consumer themselves there or a buyer for a store. The buyers know. They know what their customers are looking at. They know what they're going to pay for something. Well, when I get an inventor that says, oh, I'm going to charge $50 for this, and it's a $24.99 retail product, inventors need to hear that. And the only way they believe it is when somebody else is telling them face to face. And so that's what we've learned.
I want to make a point too. It's not necessarily that the product is better sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes that has nothing to do with it. It's just the way it was marketed, the way, like you say, the way the story was told, how they're marketing it. There's a lot of time, we watch commercials, listening to commercials on radio, watching it on television, that we know there's other products better than what's being presented. But for whatever reason, the other side is not presenting their story. So people are only going to go what they feel comfortable with, what they know about.
Right.
What they know about that product.
Well, and the gentleman that called me because he heard me on the radio. And so he sent me his information and he goes, so I want your feedback. So I told him some of the things about the industry that he was in, and I said, these are not deal killers, but you need to know now before you go out the door so you can answer the questions. You're expecting the question. It doesn't catch you off guard. And I said, change your name. And he goes, you don't like the name? I said, that has nothing to do with it. Nobody is going to Google that to find you. Nobody is going to register that with your product. And so even if you're standing and you say, oh, this is what it is, they're going to go, really? I don't see it.
Yeah.
So change the name. And, this is what you need to be able to get out there and understand the realities of your industry. And every industry has got what we call barriers to entry.
Yeah.
And you need to know those if the inventor knows those sooner rather than later. They can deal with them better. They're not surprised. It doesn't put them out of business. And this guy just laughed and he goes, yeah, he goes, I can see why that name is not going to work. And this is where we're going with it.
Well, this leads into my comment. What you were saying, I'm going to use the Ray Kroc story with McDonald's in the movie. They asked the McDonald brothers asked Ray Kroc at the end of the movie why he could have just stole it without them, which he did steal it, but he did pay for it. Everybody thinks that Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's. It's the McDonald brothers. But they asked him at the end of the story, you could have stolen it a long time ago. Why didn't you steal it? He said, I want to tell you why. I just wanted the name.
Yeah.
I paid $3 million to you because of your name. I just wanted the name. I could have stole what you were doing because you let the fox into the hen house. And if you know Ray Kroc, he was the fox. He wasn't the hen. And it's amazing, the story itself. But I wanted to make that as an example of what you're talking about, that it went on with a young corporation, McDonald's, who was just a little franchises, but it was the name that really sparked the advancement of McDonald hamburgers. So
the name can be everything.
They didn't have the best hamburgers. Okay, I can tell you that today. They don't have the best hamburgers. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think they have the best hamburgers. I can tell you what I like. And being a chef, I can tell you who's got the best hamburgers. But they'd have to pay me for it. I'm not going to put it out there. But I love eating at McDonald's because I like some of the stuff they're doing. But at the end of the day, they don't have the best hamburgers. We all know that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it sits on a big bun with a little piece of patty, but it is what it is. Oh, I can see now me getting a nasty letter, but I don't care anymore. All right. But Rita, what's going on, man? Tell us about our guests. Who we have?
Well, we've got some inventors now that have product. Derry is our next guest, and he's got one that's licensed, and he's got a couple more that are in the same ballpark, and really just working to get some stuff out there. But he understands the value of face-to-face. He's gone to see potential licensees. He's gone to the trade show. He's going to go with us in March, and so being able to shake the hands, see the people. That's really critical. And so those are some of we've got another guest doing the same thing, understanding how important it is to really do the face-to-face. And Lee was with us last year. He's going to be my next guest. And he doubled his sales in 6 months using one of the providers out there that we met. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about, is just how important it is to have the face-to-face.
Yeah, I tell you, I love talking to these young developers, and they just got all great stories, to share with us. You know what I mean?
Well, our industry expert is Patty Duffy. She was out there with us last year. She worked the show. She's part of the staff that I take with us, and this is what she does professionally, is work these shows. And it was wonderful because one of the guys that had a product there, and she goes, I didn't see too many people here for this product, but I just went to that industry show 2 weeks ago. So here's all the contacts I made at that show for this inventor. So having people out there like that work these shows professionally, they may know other folks that went to other shows, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to give us those leads. And so Patty and crew out there are just wonderful to work with.
Rita, we got ASD Market Week coming up in 2 or 3 months, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. In March. So we're 4 months. We've got 4 months. Don't scare me. That 2-month thing makes me nervous. So we've got 4 months to get it all pulled together. We've got folks signing up now, picking their spots. So if you know any inventors out there who are looking to show off, they've got product. It doesn't have to be right now that they've got products. Sometimes they're just beginning and they've got prototypes. Others have inventory and they've been doing it for a few years. We're there to help and we're there to show off.
All right. Well, Rita, I'll tell you, we're going to have to take a short break. We're going to pay some bills here. And when we come back, we're going to have Derry Griffin on the show. But don't forget, HomeTalkUSA, check out everything on the website. You can click the Invent America show And then we're going to have Greg Owens with Made in America at the top of our third hour. So we got a lot of information and education out there. So just go to HomeTalkUSA.com. We are streaming live on the World Wide Web, 24/7, 365. You can check out our weekly podcast, which is also broadcast on our website. And you can click the Invent America show and the Made in America show off our website, or you go directly there. It don't really matter how you get there. Right, Rita, as long as you get there, right?
That's right. That's right. And you know what? You have a question, you call me, because I do answer my phone even on the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. So let's take a short break right here on Home Talk USA radio program, Invent America show, Miss Rita Crompton. Don't forget, top of the next hour, we're going to have Greg Owens with Made in America. Yahee! Me and Rita will be right back. Hey, welcome back. This is Home Talk USA, the Invent America show. Don't forget that this segment of the show is sponsored by Trimmer Slab. Need to replace those rotten missing wood found in driveways, sidewalks. Install incredibly fast. Looks great. Can be removed. It's trimmerslab.com. Rita, who's our first guest?
Our first guest today is Derry Griffin. He is a contractor, builder, construction guy out in California. I have to be really careful when I call him because he's usually up on a roof and using his prototypes and his tools that he has invented. And I've known Derry for, Derry, 5 years now. You've gone to several shows with us, getting ready to go to ASD Market Week again, licensed one of your products last year. And one more patent has issued and another one is due to issue anytime. So with that in mind, all right, tell everybody what you have invented so they know.
What have I not invented? That would be.
We've only got a few minutes here, my dear.
Okay, so I've invented a line of products that I believe will make life easier for contractors in the field. Little devices that just help you on a ladder, basically all designed with safety in mind, I guess, and convenience. So what have I designed? A caulk gun holster, basic tool that every contractor in every field uses a caulk gun. Yet there is no device to keep it attached and within reach on your body so that it doesn't fall off a ladder, etc. So I came up with that. What else? A same idea for spackle knives, caulking knives, whatever you want to call those. It's always been a problem, at least for me personally, whereas you got it stuffed in a pocket, you got it here, you got it there, it's falling off a ladder. So I came up with another holster that they just magnetically attach to your body so they're always within reach and safe, basically safe and protected. The wheelbarrow, free-wheel wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Coming soon. Okay, wheelbarrow that can just go over steps, bumps. It's just an easier wheelbarrow to use on a rough surface on hilly terrain. And what was the other one, Rita? I forgot to say.
It's the cap. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the cap. You know, I think that was your first one. And about then I was doing all kinds of spackle and had caulking guns, and every morning I'd get up and go do stuff, and this stuff would leak all over and make me crinky.
Right. I was surprised that was actually the easiest patent to get. It's simply a retractable caulking cap. It attaches to the gun, so it's always on the gun, within reach, but out of the way when you don't need it. And amazingly, yes, I got that patent and I licensed that product. And someday I might actually get paid for that.
Yes, so, they're always a work in progress, and getting it out there and getting people used to seeing it. So, that brings me to my question. It's like, you have found that the face-to-face demos gets more attention. It gets more people excited than trying to do it with just a video or something on social media. It's not that social media doesn't have a place, but introducing it for a new product is really not productive.
Well, I think that people who go to trade shows go there for a reason. They're the type of people who need to feel, touch, and talk directly with the manufacturers, the inventors, whoever's involved in that particular product. Obviously, there is a huge market online now for products. People buy all kinds of things online. And I personally get a lot of response just from industrial videos that I've done on products, people requesting the product. And that's the irony of it all. I get a lot of requests, but I am not manufacturing, because to get something manufactured is so expensive, it's so difficult. You need to have a groundswell of actual interest for manufacturers to even have a conversation with you in the first place. So that's very difficult. And you would think in this day and age, 2024, that these problems would have been solved, but apparently not. So that's up to us, right, Rita? We're going to solve this problem.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. It's getting out there and looking folks in the eye. And I think a lot of it at the ASD Market Week is there's a lot of buyers there, and they want to see what it is that they want to, when there's so many times when what is shown online is not necessary. It doesn't work well. It might break real easy. I've had guys say it's, I've learned to ask, is that a rendering, or is that really a functioning prototype? And they go, well, it's a rendering. And I asked somebody if it was a rendering, and they go, what is that? And I said, it's a picture that moves. Well, you can do renderings of life on Mars. It doesn't mean that there is life on Mars. You can do renderings of me swinging from that tree out there, and I'm not going to be doing that. So, when we look at functioning prototypes, how tough is it? Is it going to do? Your prototypes are excellent. They are in full service. And I think that, companies that are looking at the potential of licensing, that's what they want to know. They want to know, is the intellectual property good, and does the product work? And can we make it at a price the consumer will pay?
I assume.
So what's next for you, my dear?
Next is, I'm going to go to that show in Vegas with you in March, I believe, right?
Yep.
And who knows what the winds are going to blow. I have no idea. I just keep going and keep hitting my head off the wall, and eventually something is going to break, be it my head or the wall, but that's the game, right? It's a game.
That's right. That's right. We are going with guns blazing. The cool new thing this year is that our VP of marketing, the VP of buyer relations, she's going to be on the show next week and talk specifically about this show. But it's really cool because she talks to the buyers before the show starts. So she will talk to then different buyers for different companies that would buy tools and show them the products online and invite them to come and see us after the show opens, which is huge. We've never had that before. We've never had a group like ASD Market Week to really help all of our inventors. And we're the only innovative section there, which again is really cool. So we're the only new products. We are the only ones that have, a Stephanie out there working for us ahead of time.
Okay, no pressure. Cool. Love it.
So we're looking forward to it. And I am going to be taking a break here so that we can go and pay some bills. But I want to let everyone know that we are going to a huge trade show, ASD Market Week. We're going to be talking about it next week. But if you know anybody out there that is an American inventor, they've got a product maybe in the marketplace or trying to get into the marketplace, and they would like to join us, have them call me. I do answer my phone even on the weekend, and my phone number is everywhere. If you Google Inventor Lady or invent-america.com, guess what? We're going to come up, and we're going to come up first. So we are really easy to find. If you've got any questions, shoot them over to me. We are doing Inventor Roundtable meetings. They are free. If you've got a product and you want to be on the radio, guess what? It's free. So anybody who's got a product, they want to talk about it, get a little bit of free advertising, which reminds me, Aaron Innovations is the website. So if you want to see Derry's products, Aaron Innovations, and we will have that link on our website as well. So stick with us, America. We are going to be right back with Leland Black, the inventor of Eco Dripper. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America. And this segment is sponsored by TrimSlab. Need to replace rotten or missing wood that we often find in our driveways, sidewalks, and decks? It installs easily and incredibly fast, looks great, and can be removed. It's TrimSlab, and you can find TrimSlab.com for some more information. So my next guest is Leland Black, and he is the inventor of Eco Dripper. Eco Dripper went with us to ASD Market Week last year. Then he started selling some more online. Very cool product. And all of your plants will be able to drink their own amount of water. I would stop killing things because I overwater. Leland, please tell everybody how to rescue their indoor plants.
All right. Well, the first thing I like to start with is I like to educate people, because education lets them understand what they're dealing with and then how my product works. So the first thing is, did you know that your plant roots have the same suction as a vacuum cleaner? I had a water department that said they did the test, and they said those plant roots have to pull water through 3 inches of dirt and the same CFMs as your vacuum cleaner to get that water. So that's how, or the process I'm going to make my product work. Second, then, my product creates a pond of water inside, kind of like your dog water device, and the bottle decides the height of the pond. And when those roots are thirsty, it will siphon the water off the top of that pond up 3/8 of an inch and then down into the soil. So it is not a gravity flow or a drip system. That's how simple this product works.
That's amazing, because I don't think that most people realize that different plants take different amounts of water. They go around and they just water everything. And a succulent, you water it the same way you do your petunias, you're going to kill it.
Yeah, they call it Watering Wednesday. I have to laugh about Watering Wednesday. But I have a plant I take to the shows. I have 2 of them, actually. And one I have on the front that I explain how it works and whatever. But then I got one behind me with the camouflage on the bottle to show I can make it disappear. And I tell them that the front plant that I use takes only a week and a half to drain a 20-ounce bottle, but the one behind me takes 3 weeks. So it's totally upon the plant.
Wow, that's so amazing. So how long have you been selling Eco Dripper?
About 1.5 years now.
All right. So what have you found that helps you get someone's attention?
I've tried talk media, which is TikTok. I've done people that are on Instagram, and they show people how to grow pots and plants. And I've tried so many different industries, and it's so hard to sell Eco Dripper unless they understand the teaching, the education before you advertise your product. And so I went to Amazon with a company called Eva, which I got at the ASD show last year, which I'm very grateful. That's the contact that I use right now. And those people, we've learned from the last year what not to do. Let's put it that way. They've taken my product. Oh, I can sell that, no problem. And we finally got to where I had to do a video of me at my stand selling the product, explaining the root system and everything. And we finally put it on Amazon, and it finally picked up. But
excellent.
We had to learn that selling your product with an education, not just selling your product, was a big difference.
Yes. And that goes back to the idea that, you've got to be face to face. You've got to, understand the buyer. And when this is a classic, because you solved a problem they didn't really know they had or that they understood. So
correct.
Unfortunately, you got to spend a lot of money to educate them. So that they now start understanding. It's like it would be cheaper to buy, 3 or 4 Eco Drippers than to keep replacing the house plants every year.
I sold 2 Eco Drippers to a lady in 2 bottles, and she came back 2 weeks later and bought 20 more. And she's like, I got to have them. They work.
Yeah. That's got to talk well about, the whole idea that they work.
Yeah. I had another lady come. She says, I'm kind of learning how to water plants and keep mine alive. And I said, I can make you an expert today. Let me show you how. And when I got done, she's like, you're right. That makes us an expert. I said, see, it's that easy.
Yep. So where can our listeners go and find Eco Dripper?
Right now, they can go to Amazon. And on Amazon, you get your better deal out of everybody, because I got 3 packs and 5 packs, which will give them the best deal, even better than me at the show. And then I got ecodripper.com. So those are the 2 places they go.
And so what's next for you? What are you, I know you've talked about the fact that you've got other products, but what's next for Eco Dripper? What's your goal? What are you trying to do?
Well, after dealing with everything I have, I'm going to stick to little shows, little trade, going to that I can afford. But it's, of course, dependent on my investor. And that's been the hard part, is finding the money to keep doing that. But little shows, and then pushing Amazon more than anything, because that has been our best success we've ever had. Even though they take their pricing, I actually figured it out. I have Intermountain Farmers here in Utah, and I got it into all their stores, which is 23 stores. And I make the same amount of money per Eco Dripper as selling to Intermountain Farmers that I do on Amazon. So I'm like, well, what's the difference? Amazon, I'm over the whole, Utah, USA, Canada, and Mexico. Why wouldn't I do that instead of worrying about going to more IFAs, Intermountain Farmers?
Right. So you are manufacturing yourself, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Have you ever thought about licensing?
We do. We have. It's just trying to find the money to do that. And so I need to sit down with you and see how and what works with you and try to do that. And I want to do that on my new product coming up. I'm actually today finishing some of the parts and pieces for it. I think you're going to love it. So yes, I definitely want to do that with you. So.
All right. Well, we're going to talk this week about some of those next steps, and we'll take it from there. So everybody, just kind of we fill in the blank spots. The difference between manufacturing and selling yourself is you got to do all the selling. And it's hard when you're a little guy. When we license it, somebody else is going to make it, sell it, and send you a royalty check. So that's Derry, who was on just before you. He went out the door with, let me make a few. So he actually had a mold made for the first one he licensed. And when we licensed it, the company actually paid to have the mold moved to the USA.
Wow.
It was in Mexico. So they paid to have it moved.
Yeah, I would so license right now then the way that sounds, because I've never done that. I've never really understood it. But yeah, when you talk licensing, I am all for licensing right now. I told somebody the other day, if I could have somebody take my product and totally take over the whole sales of this and I manufacture it, I'd be a happy man. So
well, licensing, they actually even take over the manufacturing. And they pay to fight any infringement. If somebody infringes on you, they pay for the product liability insurance. Yeah. And they just send you a royalty check. So that is one thing.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of inventors are shooting for that as they move on, because like you, they've got other ideas. Derry's doesn't even have a sexy prototype yet for the wheelbarrow, but he's working on it, getting it out there. And so he had to work on his. I think I actually met him in Utah when I was out there one time. He drove in from California to meet me when I was out there, and he was just getting started, and that was 5-6 years ago. So we just met last year. So, we've got some ground to cover then. And so anyway, we will talk about the difference between licensing and, being that growing company when you grow internally. Startups, we don't really care for startups when you've taken other people's money, because they get kind of cranky when you don't sell fast enough. We're going to have you back on. We're going to sell some of those Eco Drippers. So anybody out there who wants an Eco Dripper and you want to see what's going on, ecodripper.com. Very cool product. And as we've learned today, your plants drink differently than humans do. And so where somebody wants a gallon of water a day, somebody else wants just one water bottle. So plants are the same way. And so if you don't want to kill your plant or have them dry up, that tends to be my problem, either overwatering or underwatering. Eco Dripper is the product that you want to get your hands on. And I am sure that Lee has got a full inventory and he can fill any orders out there. And we're going to help you do that, Lee. Thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate it. And all of you listeners out there, we are going to be right back with our industry expert. And we are going to talk more about how do you get products out there and where we're going to be going in March. So stick with us, everybody. We will be right back after we go and pay a few bills. everybody. Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. This segment is brought to you by Bond Products. It is for the do-it-yourself carpet binding. There is only one Instabind, bondproducts.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We have got our industry expert. We're talking today about why eye-to-eye contact, that old-fashioned shaking hands, talking to people face-to-face, is still the most valuable way of getting out there. In spite of social media and e-commerce and all that stuff that we count on, new products, you still need to get it out there. So, Patty, thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Patty Duffy, and I was formerly Vice President of Sales and Marketing for a number of industries, but predominantly the food service industry. And having spent about 30 years in various roles there, I then started my own marketing and sales consulting business, which included a lot of events, a lot of trade shows. In fact, I was just doing a quick add up of the number of different trade shows that I have worked in one capacity or another, and it's about 75 different trade shows over the past 44 years or so.
You know, I always tell people there is a professional trade show for every industry. I have been to the National Asphalt Show. It wasn't very big, but it was very productive. So when we're looking at those professional shows as opposed to a consumer show. So professional shows, it's, you know, somebody that's got, you know, a role in buying or selling particular products, industries. They're not the consumer that wants to buy one. They're somebody that wants to buy a pallet. And, you know, so we're looking at wholesale pricing versus the retail pricing. And, you know, there's a lot of shows that are out there. They're just consumer shows. There are a lot for, you know, local folks. Normally we are looking for professional shows, but ASD Market Week is this odd combination of both. And so we can have people selling one or an entire pallet, which is so cool. And so, you know, tell us what your experience has been over the years about the value of being face-to-face.
You know, I had a gut feel about this in my early years, but after I moved out to Las Vegas about 15 years ago and spent so much time in various aspects of trade shows, I see that it's the same everywhere. You're really dealing with human behavior, and human behavior, you know, people like to make relationships. And whether you're an introvert or extrovert just tells you that you're going to do it at a little different pace, if you will. If you're an introvert and you're walking through a trade show, or if you're an introvert and you're working the trade show, you might take a slightly different approach. But in any event, extrovert or introvert, that eye contact is so critically important. And I must say that eye contact does not only apply to the person that's in the booth, but it's the person walking the aisles, and it's the person who's sort of scoping out, looking for leads. So you want to keep that in mind, that it's really a universal practice that really benefits the seller wherever you are.
Well, there were so many of our inventors last year where they had one prototype. And I always think of Wendy with Float No More. And she had one prototype, and holy cow, she was really, you know, protective of that one prototype. But she learned so much just by talking to people, having them hold it, showing what, you know, and they didn't understand what it was when she was trying to do it on video. But as soon as they held it in their hands, all the lights went off, and, you know, think, oh, wow, this is so cool. Well, by the time she left, she had people saying, you know, when can I get a pallet of this for my store? And so she is just getting ready now to start manufacturing, pulling the trigger on 2,000 units, and she has already sold all of them.
Good for her. I love those success stories. And that's a classic example of somebody who had a product that must be seen, must be felt, to know what it's all about. And how do you get somebody to stop, even for a few seconds, to take a look at whether they want to see more about that product? It's eye contact. So a lot of people will stand in their booths and they'll wait for somebody to come by and stop for a second in front of their booth, and then they, you know, kind of grab their attention and so on. But my premise is that you need to be looking at those folks 6 or 8 feet out. from the booth, because if they're walking down the aisle with a couple of friends and they're chatting, they're just going to walk right by you. But if you catch their eye when they're out there 10 feet or 12 feet or even 2 booths down, then they're much more apt to stop, again, because they see you're trying to make a personal relationship with them. So if you catch them for those first few seconds, then they're committed to spending at least enough time to see what your product is all about.
It does make such a difference. And, people, it's always so funny because they'll say, well, do we have chairs and tables? Like, no, we're there to work. You need to think about it as, a Macy's or, a Target store where you're walking around and you're talking. So no, you don't get to sit down. And they always say, it's like, but, what if I need to sit down? It's like, then you leave the booth and go sit down, because then you're taking a break, which is fine. Everybody's got to take a break. But it's not in the booth. And, it's been so funny because I've had people coming back and say, okay, I was walking down the aisle and there was a difference between the booths where people were sitting down and using their phone and people who were standing up and trying to engage. Like you said, they're trying to engage and start a relationship with somebody that's walking by. And they said, thank you very much. Now we understand, because it does make a difference.
And eye contact is not only important on getting them into the booth, but when they leave the booth, because if you've made a connection and you've got a smile in your eye and you've had some kind of interaction with them, they're going to leave the booth knowing how they felt. Whether they know the product or the person, they'll know how they felt. So if they come back, they say, oh, I remember that booth. I don't remember what the product was, but there was a really nice person there, someone I wanted to talk to, and they might just come back and see you a second time.
That's for sure. The eye contact, the smile, the shaking the hand, it makes a difference. And so when we're going out there with those brand new products and nobody knows they exist, it's really important that, somebody can try it. They can touch it, feel it, hold it. If it's supposed to be heavy, why? And, that has been the wonderful thing that we have been experiencing all these years with trade shows. So next week, everybody, we are going to have the VP of Buyer Relations from ASD Market Week joining us. And we will be able to talk more about, exactly what we're doing out there. So tune in next week for this. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Patty, thank you very much for being our industry expert. Everyone stick around for the next hour, because we're going to be talking about those products that are actually made in the USA.